Hi everybody, this is Shindler-Cohen from Michigan Associates of Acupuncture on Wednesday in May. Welcome to our live. I like to wait a few minutes for everybody to kind of join us and settle in and find us. But I'm excited because we're getting closer to opening, to welcoming our patients back in a couple of weeks. And I'm so excited and preparing for weeks and months, and we're all excited to see you, and we're taking our time to make sure we're doing it safely and to keep you safe and healthy and to keep us safe and healthy, which kind of leads us to our topic today, which is Chinese herbal medicine for prevention. And I just want to make it clear, we're going to talk about prevention for respiratory disease, because when I was thinking about it, Chinese medicine is used for all kinds of prevention, and but today we're going to focus on Chinese herbal medicine for the prevention of respiratory diseases and infections. So we're going to talk about Chinese herbs and how they're used. We're going to have a quick review, and then we'll talk about some specific herbs or really specific formulas, and we'll understand why we're going to use formulas to keep things balanced and how it works. So thank you again for joining, and if you ever have questions, please write them in now, or if you're watching this video later, email us or call, and we're happy to answer any questions ever. So when we talk about Chinese herbs it's important to understand that we don't use herbs singularly, meaning we don't use individual herbs, we always use formulas. And of course, the building blocks of formulas are individual herbs, which we've talked a lot about in previous videos, how to use herbs in your kitchen and cooking. And of course, foods and individual herbs have functions, but when we give herbs, we give formulas. And this is why we never say, hey, go to Whole Foods and buy X, Y, or Z, because you need Chinese herbal formulas. And so formulas are written in a very specific way. Many are more than 4 herbs, but there's 4 functions of herbs, and it's important to understand why. And there's a chief, there's a deputy, there's an assistant, and there's an envoy. And when you look at formulas, if you understand this hierarchy, you can read formulas and understand what they're trying to do. So the chief is usually the first herb in a formula, and therefore it's at the highest concentration. So if you're using a formula for prevention, which translates to a supporting of energy of your spleen and lungs, classically, this herb that's going to be the chief is the highest dosage. The deputy is the second herb, and that is the second highest dosage, and it can either be used to support the chief, or it's used to treat the secondary pattern. So nobody comes in with just one thing. So even if we're working on prevention, it's not like we're just supporting the spleen, giving tons of tonic herbs. The deputy might treat secondary concerns. So if there's a stagnation of energy, or if there's a little bit of draining, for example, spleen 2 deficiency comes along with dampness, this is the deputy's herb to address the second treatment strategy. So we have chief, we have deputy, and we have the assistant. And the assistant is often used to help the chief, but it can also work to have a corrective effect. So this is the beautiful thing about Chinese herbal medicine, is that formulas are designed to offset negative side effects, right? So too much of anything is not good. If you have too much supplementing, if you have too much nourishing, it can create harmful effects. So the role of the assistant is to moderate these effects. So it can be to drain, or it can be to move. And then the third, the envoy, is to direct the formula to wherever it's supposed to go. And if you've been watching some of our other talks, or have an understanding now of Chinese medicine, channels, energy runs throughout the body in channels or meridians named after organs. And the beautiful thing about Chinese medicine is identifying where the imbalance lays specifically in which channel. So the envoy is used to direct and moderate the effects of the formula, to guide it to each individual channel, or to harmonize. I kind of think of it as like a period on a sentence. right? A formula is giving a message, and it's telling you what to do and how to do it, and it's balancing itself. The envoy is like a period. So it's often gansao, which is licorice, shenjiang, this is how I do it, shenjiang, which is fresh ginger, sharen, shanja, which is I forgot, a hawthorn berry. So those are envoys. They harmonize the effects. They put a nice like finishing touch on the formulas. Okay, why am I telling you about this when I'm talking about Chinese herbal formulas for prevention? We're going to talk about some formulas that are similar but different. Similar in that they support the energy, but different in the way they do it. And the way you identify this is the chief herbs that are used in each of these formulas. That's how you tell the difference of what it's doing. So that is why we wanted to review that. So again, I'm going to mention some single herbs to start, but we never take individual herbs. We always take formulas together. And a big one that you probably have heard of is astragalus. We call it huangqi, astragalus. It's used a lot in Chinese medicine, but across various herbal traditions for supporting immunity. And Chinese medicine uses huangqi to secure the exterior, which is how we get sick, but also the spleen qi, and it has an upbearing effect. So huangqi astragalus is a really good immune boosting prevention formula. The other one that you probably heard of that's less common is renshen, ginseng. In Chinese herbal medicine, we're talking about Asian ginseng, red ginseng, but there's also American ginseng, xiangshen, which is a little different than renshen. But even so, ginseng is used really powerfully to support spleen qi, but be careful because it's really heating. Renshen ginseng, or a formula that contains renshen, is not something you want to take every day for a long period of time. As we were talking about the individual formulas, chief, deputy, assistant, envoy, remember? Renshen, when renshen is the chief, it's always moderated by the other herbs in the formula. So when we're taking like these ginseng shots that I've seen at gas stations, can really heat up and burn your qi in the long run, having the opposite effect. But anyways, ginseng renshen is one that's really popular. And the other one is dangui, is how we know it. It's known as dangui. You can get tinctures of it individually in Chinese medicine. It's not a qi tonic as astragalus and ginseng are. It's a blood tonic. However, prevention is making sure energy and our blood, the Chinese idea of blood, are well nourished. So dangui is used to also support our energy in our body, keep things bolstered so that we're not depleted, because our lifestyle and our diet and our habits tend to deplete our qi in our blood. So dangui is used to help nourish the blood, qi and blood. And in fact, there's a formula called dangui bushui tang, which is just huangqi astragalus and dangui together. It is for really depleted consumptive disorders, as we say. So for somebody who's really depleted, we give them the formula of huangqi astragalus dangui. Then some formulas that we talk about a lot in our clinic that you've probably heard a lot about in practice in the world, I think, is jade windscreen. And I'm specifically talking about that because in our practice, we recommend it a lot for immunity and support. But there's been studies done on it in China for our current situation of supporting energy. It's a very simple formula. It's gentle enough that you can take it longer than something that has renshen. Its chief is huangqi. And then it has baizhu, attractor lotus, which supports qi. It's in the same category as renshen, but not nearly as hot or draining. And then it has a little what we call fang feng in it that treats like earliest stages. So it's like supporting overall of your energy is the chief and the deputy are tonics, but then the envoy, the last little bit, kind of just like it, if you're getting sick, expels it. So that's what jade windscreen does. So in flu season, in the time of a global pandemic, this is a good gentle one that you can take for a long period of time to support your energy. The other one that I like is Buzhang Yiqitang. It's a classic formula that really supports spleen chi, right? So spleen is the digestion, our source of energy, which we use for defensive, for immunity. But the root is supporting the spleen, and Bu Zhang Yi Qi Tang really supports it, and its chief is Huang Qi, is astragalus. Its cousin, of whom Bu Zhang is really based off of, so I kind of went backwards, is something called Sujin Zitang for gentlemen's, which is also a really popular formula used to support your spleen. Its chief is Renshen, is ginseng, right? So can you answer the question why I personally like Bu Zhang better is because Huang Qi is the chief, not Renshen. So you can take it a little more freely without less harm, but Sujin Zitang is the classic formula upon which Bu Zhang is based to support your spleen. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So we talked about Sujin Zitang, and another popular one that we talk about in our formula in our practice is Xiao San, Free and Easy Wander. Does this ring a bell for anybody? And again, I get like in our world, we talk about it a lot, but people come into our practice not so familiar with Chinese medicine and TCM asking for these formulas. So Xiao San is a beautiful formula because it supports your spleen, which I'm hoping we understand now is the source of our energy and therefore immunity, but it also moves energy, which is really nice. So it tonifies and moves, right? Two different treatment principles together in one formula. Movement is important as we're talking about prevention, because think about plumbing in your home or if you're in a garden, right? You don't want any fluids to stagnate. And as you know, in Chinese medicine, we liken the body to an environment. So we, of course, want to always create movement. And our lifestyles and our diets and our habits and our emotions have a strong effect on stagnating qi. So Xiao San, Free and Easy Wanderer, does both. It keeps your energy moving and it supports your spleen. It does not contain ginseng or astragalus to support your qi. It has baiju, which, if you think about that, I mentioned that earlier, supports the spleen more gently than ginseng, which again, be careful with ginseng. Be careful, be careful, be careful. It scares me when you go out and you see, oh, ginseng or energy drinks with ginseng. Be careful, don't do it. But Xiao San doesn't have it, so that's a gentle one that you can use. It's beautiful at prevention. So those are some of our commonly used formulas to help support immunity, which is prevention. And in Chinese medicine, supporting your digestion in your spleen is prevention of everything else. So I hope this has been a little informative. Maybe we'll talk about some prevention for other types of patterns and conditions, but your spleen and your digestion is number one, as we understand that in Chinese medicine, that Western holistic medicine is starting to understand. And we're happy again to answer any questions and hash this out. We so look forward to seeing y'all very soon in clinic. And for those of you who have been joining us, we hope that we can have a little discussion about patterns, what we're thinking, and talk about your case. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Be well.